Peace, world. I'm your host, highly gifted, the enlightened one, back with another episode of Final Say. So today's topic is we're going to get into mental health, mental strength, and mental stability. So one of the first things you want to try to practice when we talk about mental health, the first thing you want to try to practice on a constant daily basis to be able to consistently sustain mental health is you want to drink a lot of water. That's the first thing you want to do. You want to keep your body hydrated, keep all your blood flowing, keep all your vessels, your blood cells right. So that starts with keeping yourself hydrated by drinking a lot of water. I know it may make you urinate and go to the bathroom. So depending on your age group, your age range, you know what I mean? You want to, pace yourself before you just go out there and drink gallons of water. I mean, it's good to drink a lot of water of that magnitude, gallons, things like that, but you want to pace yourself as well. So when you start to pace yourself, you know how much water intake that you can consume before you make another move, whether that's going to work, whether that's going to school, whether that's going out to meet a friend, a family member, you're going on a date, etc. So if you know you're not doing too much, try to consume enough water. And if you know how your bowels work, as far as how you're going to urinate and when you're going to urinate and how much you're going to urinate, you want to kind of give yourself some time in and pace yourself. So therefore, if you got to use the bathroom or go to the bathroom out of the ordinary, you be somewhere where you're comfortable at. So therefore, now that you're comfortable, you'll be able to use the bathroom to your own comfortability, where you don't have to hold your your urine in, male or female. Gender that doesn't really apply. And that's another thing I want to reiterate here on the show, at Final Say. This is something I'm not into. All ethnic groups are welcome. I'm not biased, or all genders are welcome. Everybody's welcome with all arms. To stay to comment, to subscribe, to share, like, to, give their view on some of my views and my perspective here on the Final Say. So, definitely everybody, excuse me, definitely everybody's welcome. So please, if you from any kind of, ethnic background or gender background, I'm not biased here. You're more than welcome to be a part of the Final Say family. So, before I move on, getting back into the mental health, I just want to elaborate that, thanks for giving me those few seconds to put that out there for everybody. You know what I mean? So back to the mental health. So yeah, you want to keep yourself hydrated, so therefore, now mentally now you have a better control of your thoughts, your thought process, and another thing that comes with mental health that we all got to embody just a little bit more so we can gradually understand. That's how you prevent, anger, self-hate and things like that, because now you have more control of your thought process because you hydrated, and you're not hydrated with a bunch of sugar or a bunch of things that's going have your brain moving one way and your body want to go another way. So for example, you may want to relax and chill, but now that you done drunk that juice or you done drunk that soda, your body kind of hyped up. Again, all this is pending age involvement here. However, your body and your brain start to move on a different frequency because it's so much sugar consumed. Definitely, if if you dehydrate and you just throw that soda or you throw that juice back, and if you're doing that constantly now, the sugar from that starts to take over your brain frequency and your brain waves. So therefore, now that start happening, your brain start to get on a different level, and sometimes you don't even understand why I did that or why I reacted that way, or why I let certain situations get the best of me, because you're consuming too much sugar on the brain, and that that doesn't work out well for your thought process. What I'm saying? It might not affect you right then and there physically, but because we're on mental right now, so from a mental standpoint, it'll start to affect you in ways like that that you're not even aware of. So that's one of the first things you want to do. You want to try to consume, as much water as possible. Of course, you have to beware of the bathroom. That's the only, subplot or side effect to that. Excuse me. That's the only subplot or side effect to that. So, moving on, to work on mental hygiene, you have to keep your body cleansed now, because that's more of a cleaning process. So you have to keep your body cleansed together. You know what I mean? With it, now you have to consume the right things, food products, certain things on your skin, certain hair products, for the women out there, for the younger women out there, the younger ladies, certain hair products, even for the gentlemen, certain shampoos and things you may use, on your hair or in your hair, it gets to your scalp, things like that. So those are how you avoid, mental hygiene problems. Try not to, consume certain bad foods that doesn't help your brain, move and the muscles still constantly move and the blood flow the way it needs to. That's why a lot of people, have became and are vegans and eat a lot of salads and, try not to eat, certain foods on a daily basis because they understand the fats from those foods cause a lot of indigestion, not even connected to the brain or the mind right now, connected to the arteries and the heart. And we're gonna get into topics like that on another episode, another show. But it starts to lead to that, but it definitely goes to the brain. A lot of oily foods and things like that. Your brain can't control, where the how much of that oil flow, should be going through your body because it's not a good oil. Even if you might say, I use this oil, I use that oil, that's great, but you still, got to process the food. So it's kind of better to kind of use an oven, when you processing certain foods. What I mean? Olive oil is great, coconut oil is great. I'm not running from any of those oils. However, when you use the oven, you will, a lot of the oil will just come out of the food and you didn't even add anything. So people need to look at that. Like, just make something in the oven and don't add anything to it. You're going to see oil and fats and things like that come off. Definitely something that you prepare in the oven. So, that's one of the ways that you avoid, mental hygiene, on the negative side. Another way is, too, is that, you try to rest, more than, you think you should, getting enough rest for your body. Maybe, if you was getting 8 hours, maybe you could work on 10, pending your schedule, school, your job, your relationship, your children, things like that. But if you can try to get more rest, that would help your mental process, your thought process, because your body now is accumulated to get an X amount of rest. So your brain now could get that rest where you're not walking, you're not talking. You understand what I'm saying? So those things are still connected to your brain for your body to function. You're not moving your arms, you're not moving your legs, things like that. So that helps now, with your mental hygiene, trying to get, the appropriate amount of rest. You know what I mean? For, to each his own. But if you are getting 6 hours, try to get 8. If you're getting 8, try to get 10. If you're getting 9, try to get 11. Just try to get a little bit more rest on the daily. You'll see the differences, your body take. And, again, the last thing about the mental hygiene, and we're going to have further, discussions and episodes about these things. But, I just wanted to speak about that because a lot of people are suffering right now from mental hygiene, and a lot of that too come from neglect and regret. Neglect from maybe loved ones, maybe a loved one, or relationships, or people you've been around, or job, things they may have lost out on in life and never could get it back. So from a mental standpoint, now they become weak and susceptible, so their mind doesn't want to readjust to things that they regularly, would adjust to, and that could be, physical hygiene. Now they may not bathe the same way. It can be with having jobs they may not want to work anymore, or it could just be body language. Their body language is just like, they don't care about the world or society no more, or they cut off from the world or society. So mental health comes from a lot of different things. And I say, neglect, because when you neglect someone's feelings, that, if you say you love them, it don't have to always be a mother or a father. It can be an uncle. It could be a grandmother. It could be a grandfather. Like I said, it can be a relationship. It can be somebody you put children on the planet with. It can be a job. It can be something that meant something to you, but you learned, down the road that it wasn't as circumstantial to someone else. So from a mental standpoint, that kind of threw you back. So that psychologically is like you can't readjust or you don't get it. And that may take a year. It may take a month. It may take an hour. Sometimes it may take 10 years. Sometimes it take a lifetime. But that's going back to when you practice on more mental, awareness, that brings your mental hygiene higher. So getting rest, drinking water, not polluting your body with unnecessary toxins that's going to cause, further distractions in your life. And you have to work on things that like distractions that, could possibly offset your mental capacity, your mental space. If somebody talks to you a certain way, or if you easily put down, like a lack of self-esteem, things like that, all that's mentally. You know what I mean? So if you know those things bother you, you yourself as the person that control your life and control your temple, you can work on those things, from a mental standpoint, outside of the water and the rest, read more books. You know what I mean? Counsel yourself. Talk to yourself. Don't. It's nothing wrong with, as a human being, if you speak to yourself, to better something in your life or to better a situation in your life from a mental standpoint. Don't think that you're something wrong with you. It's nothing wrong with you. You're not out of bounds for talking to yourself, for wanting to school yourself more and wanting to keep yourself in balance because you run your temple. There's nothing like you controlling your every step and movement, and not maybe a job or not maybe a spouse or a parent or a grandparent or uncle or aunt or some sort of bondage. So to become mentally free sometime helps that mental hygiene, because maybe mentally you stuck. And it can also be with substance abuse, a lot of drinking, a lot of smoking, and all the time it doesn't have to be marijuana or liquor. It can be wine, it can be beer, it can be cigarettes, it can be Black and Milds, it can be cigars. It's not always based around one thing. When somebody says substance abuse, it can be food. That's a substance that you can abuse. So it's various different mental health aspects that can help you subside from feeling lonely and things like that. So getting some rest, drinking some water, reading some books, and spending more time alone with yourself. So that word that's thrown out there a lot, boredom. Boredom comes from you're unsatisfied with something in your mental space. It's something that's not in your mental capacity, that's not on your mind enough, whether that's positivity, whether that's enough love, whether that's enough reassurance from yourself that no matter how rough and tough times get, you're going to love yourself. You're going to be there for yourself. Even if, you feel neglected from your mother or your children or your grandchildren or your uncle or your aunt or whoever, a relationship, a job, not having enough money, not having enough clothes. That's a mental thing. Like, you can work on that. As long as you have clothes, that means you're able to make a move to get more clothes. As long as you have food, you can find another way to get food. It's all on your mental capacity. If you just get weak all the time and give up, that's a mental thing. It's not always physically you can just give up. Mentally, it starts there first, because the pain comes from the brain, because that's where the internal pain comes from when you feel it before anybody else can see you feeling it or you even really physically feel it. It comes from the brain first, so let's try to remember that. So again, mental hygiene, water, rest, reading, getting to know yourself, speak to yourself better. When you getting out of character with yourself, pull yourself to the side, even if you with, your wife, your fiance, you at work, when you go on break, if you at work, you pull yourself to the side, get a grip, pace yourself, take a breather, whatever that may be. But you have to work on you first before you can, worry about somebody else's mental mind state. Like, you have to work on your own mental space first. Like, you need to get a psychological advantage on yourself and over yourself. Why you need it on yourself? So you can always control yourself, because it's three kind of controls: you under control, you in control, or you out of control. So you never want to get caught with being out of control. And you definitely don't want to be in control of something that is controlling your mind space. So you always want to be in control of what you can control that's in your mind space, instead of having something in control or out of control in your mind space. So you want to control that. So if you like, okay, today I'm just going to sit here and read a book, Today is my day of clean up and relax. I'm not going to deal with chitter chatter today. You have to hold yourself to those standards. So therefore now, once you keep holding yourself there, your psychological mind space doesn't allow anything to get in between that. Nothing allows, you know, anything, a TV show, a bad phone call, extra overtime at the job, you're just gonna be like, all right, no problem. And if some bad news come, oh man, we gonna work that out. Let me get back to you. I was doing something prior to your call. I'm sorry to hear that. Even if it's a close family member or a close friend or a close loved one, you still have to work on that mental mind space so you can better your circumstances psychologically. Because once you can do that, it's not an issue to reach out to others, because therefore now their mind space, their mind frequency, their brain capacity now will kind of be almost to your level when you start to talk to them and reach out to them, and give them brain food so they can understand and elevate their thought process and their thought patterns on how they need to move. So their brain frequency now, if it's not on your level, it'll be coming up there. And what the great thing about that would be, the great thing about that would be that it was sincere. So now they're going to detect, and their brain frequency would detect that it was sincere. You didn't just do this to try to change them, better them, because nobody wants to come across as they're changing somebody, and people, are not equipped to change on somebody else's merit. So therefore, you have to just give them the food, which is, the education they need. So now, therefore, it's on them how they take it. So when you want to enlighten somebody to something, it's on them how they move with it. That's why I call myself the enlightened one, and I want to elaborate on that right quick, before I end today's segment out. I'm not calling myself the enlightened one because I heard it from people or it sounds good, or it's catchy, or any type of arithmetic or anything like that. And I want to say this: I don't know if people call themselves that. If they do, shout out to them. I'm not doing this to mock, emulate, anything like that. I call myself the enlightened one because, to a degree in my life, I'm enlightened to a lot of things that people, don't see typically, with their third eye, which is your brain. So I'm always hip and equipped to things. I've been told this and shown this throughout my life and my upbringing. So with being shown that throughout my life and my upbringing, now I'm going to use my platform to give that same enlightenment back, because I know it's a lot of people, like I used to be, that need, some sort of enlightenment, some sort of, healing in certain aspects, and they need growth in certain aspects of life. And I'm thankful that I'm gaining more and more knowledge about life, about growth, about healing in various different aspects. So now I really want to put it to work and to use. So again, for me to even want to come to my own platform and do that, because I've done other ventures that we're going to expose and talk about and have fun and laugh at and get serious about, because I'm going to share a lot of things that I've, personally experienced and been through, with mental health, with physical health, so, it's a lot of things that, on this show that we're going to get deep about. We're going to have fun about. We're going to have a lot of great times, and a lot of celebrations, and a lot of, harsh and critical times, because that's who we are in life. We have to be as open as possible. Of course, you're going to get feedback from people that don't understand. If you break down and say this happened in your childhood, or this happened in your lifetime, or that happened at this age, and you've been through that, you're going to have people that disagree. You're going to have some people that agree, but I'm not here for somebody to agree or to disagree. I'm just here to, like I said, spread the good word, spread some healing, and look to, bring some education and growth to those out there, because I know it's people that need it. And I appreciate it that maybe, people can catch on and appreciate what I'm doing. So that's why I decided to call myself the Enlightened One, aka highly gifted, because again, I think that I'm highly gifted at, just being able to speak to people and connect with people and reach out to people on a lot of various different outlets and platforms of life, not through the internet. I mean, when I connect with people, I really know how to get a mental lock and a mind thing, a third eye thing with a lot of people. And shout out to all those people throughout my life where I gave me the right energy and taught me certain lessons so I could become a better man and have a stronger backbone where I'm going in my life and what I'm doing. So shout out to them, and I appreciate them. If they ever hear this and see the show, thanks to all the brothers and sisters, aunts and uncles and grandmothers and mothers and fathers who held my hand when I was being selfish and stepping, because I was going through my own mental crisis. Like I said, we'll get into that later in some other episodes. So my point is, in closing, is that mental health on any level is serious.